Us. I'm Brick Carpenter on Usula Media. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm sitting here with a special guest, one that I've been following for quite some time, one that I've connected with many years ago, and one that is just a pillar in the recovery community and community itself, and a man who continually makes me laugh. I'm sitting here with Eddie Dunn. Hey, Eddie.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. How are you?
The irony of being considered a pillar of the community when I'm from this.
You're from Kensington.
From Kensington originally.
You're a Kenzo boy at heart.
I'm a Kenzo boy, and I would hardly have been considered a lot of my life as a pillar of the community. In fact, I was probably more along the lines of an eyesore, if that's...
I can imagine. I definitely can imagine.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that's sort of like something that, you know, is a great message when we do enter our recovery and we do enter that journey to change our lives.
Right.
You know, most of us, when I say us, like those of us that, you know, are somebody with substance use disorder, I consider myself a total scumbag before I entered recovery.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and now people look at me like, you do such good things. And I'm like, you talking to me? So yeah. I get that. But you are. People look up to you. How many years do you have in recovery?
I'm sober 11 years and some change. So I'm sober since November 8th of 2014.
November 8th, 2014. That's right on.
Right.
You got a year ahead of me. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So how many years were in your active addiction?
So I, off and on, since I was 19, was I heavily into drugs, right? So since 19, I got sober when I was 38. So, you know, I'm the terrible
19 years.
Math. That's 19 years. So over the course of 19 years, I would get sober for a little while and then I wouldn't be. And that the most I would be able to put together is perhaps 3 years. I've done that twice, I believe. And I think that, I think that it's almost worse, I think, when you get clean and you keep relapsing, because it almost makes you think that, holy shit, this is going to be my life.
Yep. It's a cycle. That's why when people say, you know, oh, don't worry, you know, relapse is part of recovery. And I think, you know, I understand what that message is trying to say, but I think it gives the wrong message, because it's almost like giving a green light, like, if you relapse, it's okay, because then it's okay to come back. And it's sort of a weird message, I think.
You know, the fallacy of that is that I don't know what's going to happen. When I hear people say, well, I know if I get high, I know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. All kinds of shit happens when I get high. And it's always way worse than I think. And if it was easy as I'll just do it for a little while and then I'll come back, because that was a lie that I would tell myself. It's part of the delusion of picking up again after having time, is that my mind would almost be like, well, you could go out and then you could just come right back into recovery. And the problem with that, with me, and I don't know if this happens with everybody, right, is that I go on a ride and I don't know when that ride's going to end. And it kind of makes me like think of like Wildwood. Like when I was a kid and I would get on a ride that I was like halfway kind of scared of, and
the hellhole, that's
whatever,
fun.
Yeah, that thing with is that the one with the DJ in the middle? And
then the ground would drop out.
Yeah, the Gravitron had the DJ in the middle. So anyway, I would get on something like that, and I'd be like, and then it would begin, and then they would say, you can't get off until the ride comes to a complete stop. And the problem with the relapsing thing was, it was never like I had to go along for the ride until it came. And the stop was always like, I ran out of money and I'm homeless. That was usually the stop. And then I was able to, even in the end of the last thing that I went through with drugs, was kind of learn to survive on the street. And that was the whole thing, because I never thought it would get to that level, that where I was, panhandling, and that happened. You know, I would see panhandlers when I was younger, as a younger drug addict. Right. I would literally see panhandlers and be like, why don't you be a real drug addict and go steal something? You know what I mean? Like, and then I
go boost something. Don't stand here in the corner.
Yeah, go steal something for
Make
Christ's
us look
sake.
bad.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Get yourself together. Have some respect for yourself. But I became that. I became somebody who was outside asking people for money. And it's weird because I've been in some kind of sales my whole life, right? And it's almost like a sales type of thing. Like I went out to Panhandle and I looked at people and I said, all right, what are these people doing? And I would see some people with the sign and their head down, right? Mm-hmm. There's those people. And then there's the people who would like, get in people's space. And I was like, I don't want to do that, mm-hmm. right? So I'm going to find somewhere in the middle. What I would do was, my move is I would sit there, and when people would walk by me, I would go, how you doing? Good morning. And if they made eye contact with me, I'd be like, anything you could help me out with? And that would work.
Did you have one spot that you would go to all the time?
So there were...
Because I know territory out there when you panhandle is,
dude, honestly, like, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, where the old family court was a decent spot, right? And you would think, people are going in there and hearing bad news. Their bank account was going to get levied because of child support or some shit like that, right? No. I mean, they may have encountered that, but it was heavy traffic, like going into that building, and that was a good spot. And also the ice cream place over here on Aramingo Avenue, the Cold Stone. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that was a moneymaker. Like, because especially in the summertime,
hot night, yeah.
Because people were happy they were about to get ice cream, right? And I would say, anything you can help me out with, I would sit on the ground. And people would give me money coming out a lot of times. They'd be like, I got you on the way out, bub. And that was good as well. And did I experience, because I know people hear these sort of things and they're like kind of turned off by the idea of panhandling and somebody's on drugs and, you got all different ideas about that, and you did this to yourself and mm-hmm. and all that stuff. And, there's merit to that.
I think panhandling sometimes could be a little more respectable than even the boosting. I mean, come on. Panhandling is part of harm reduction.
Right.
It's reducing the harm of what happens if you start to go out and
That's
boost.
Why I looked at it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I looked at it. Right?
Because you don't have to give to them.
Right.
You don't have to do anything. And a lot of times, that's why people look like they're invisible sometimes.
Well, I'll be honest, like, can I curse on here a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm kind of a pussy, right?
Okay.
I'm not
tough. Is that what you got for me? I thought you were going to really curse. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm kind of a pussy, right? So I'm not like a tough guy. Like, I'm not like a strong arm robbery guy. Mm-hmm. So the majority of my life, all the stealing that and I'm not good in a store, right? So I'm not, I don't want to go to jail, right? Mm-hmm. So what I would do is unfortunately, man, and I'm going to sound horrible with all. I mean, I just want to emphasize that I am not a shadow of the person that I used to be. But a lot of my life, when I stole off my friends and family, people I didn't think would press charges, and they normally did not. In fact, they never did.
And that's why most people do steal off of them, because they know they're not going to get charges pressed against them.
Yeah, they're easy like they're low-hanging fruit, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And
but you're from Kensington,
right?
You didn't start really picking up and using until you're 19?
No. I started getting high and drinking when I was 14 or 15.
High, like smoking pot or
smoking pot, yeah.
Yeah, so you weren't doing like hardcore. You were doing like that teenage sort of stuff.
Right. Maybe some coke when I was like 17 or whatever.
Damn,
tripping acid, right? That was cool. Like there was like
Did you like acid? That you said it was you said that was cool. Did you like it?
I did it a handful of times. And the thing about acid, it's like your whole day, right? It's a whole fucking day. You have to plan out a day. Like, you can't just be like, you know what, on Thursday, I'm going to eat some acid and then just fucking do what I normally do on a Thursday. No. Your day has to be devoted to the acid.
It's shot.
Right?
I went to the Fattest Hip Hop Tour 94. Biggie Smalls was headliner. And
you tripped there.
We thought it was going to be a good idea to trip acid instead of smoke blunts.
We thought it was
not a good idea.
No, we thought it was going to be a good idea to trip acid and go to the laser light show at the planetarium at the Franklin Institute, dude.
Oh my gosh, surprised you didn't end up in the CRC.
Bro, listen, I'm in there, and the guy with me, God, again, dude, people are going to hear this stuff and be like, this guy's a piece of shit, but whatever. The guy with me, one of my friends who was tripping also, I look over at him and he's pissing on the floor. And I go, bro, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? And he's like, I don't know.
Has no clue.
I don't know. He thought it, whatever. I mean, it was dark in there, and the way the seating is, it's like on a slant. Mm-hmm. So it was just like
going down.
It was flow of a piss. He pissed on the floor, and it just like flowed down on the floor. Yeah. So that's again, like just a part of my youth growing up here, and what's wild is that like I was considered a good kid. Like there were kids that were like there were kids, I have friends of mine that I know that some of which I still stay in contact with, that if you would have told me at like 7 or 8, like he's destined for the penitentiary, I would have been like, oh, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like that makes total sense.
Did you know Danny Gilman growing up in Kensington?
Yes, okay, kind of. I remember him, but we hung with different groups of people. So the way that the neighborhood was, it was a lot different, obviously, than it is now. It was broken up in the factions of like corners and playgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Danny was a lot boy. He hung with a group of kids called the Lot, and they were a group. There were other groups, and they would fight each other. And here's the crazy thing. And Danny would even attest to this because him and I went to the same high school, but we were a couple years apart.
High school?
Mastbaum.
Oh, you went to Mastbaum?
Yes. Oh. So in Mastbaum, went to Mastbaum. Now think about this. All the white kids from the neighborhood, they all sat at their same tables, mm-hmm. right? For whatever reason, like we were all cool. There was never really much tension, but for whatever reason, the lunchroom was like racially segregated, right? Like.
And what year was this?
94, 93, right? So
in the height of the segregation and everything.
No, not made to be segregated, right? It was everybody because of choice.
Interesting.
Like individuals that were Hispanic all sat in the same table. It was kind of
Did you not cross over groups?
No. There were. It wasn't that deep, but it was a thing.
The only reason I'm saying that is because I came from the Allentown area. I went to a school called Whitehall, and it was all white, so we didn't have to worry about that.
Right.
We graduated with one person that was of dark skin in our class. And so to me, I hear this and I'm like, oh, this is interesting.
No, it's interesting because it was just a kind of nature of way. From what I understand, and I'm not a big jail guy. I've been in jail twice for 2 weeks. From what I understand, like jail is like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not
like a clicks.
It's willfully like clicky, right? Like clicky.
Okay.
But here's the twist. I'd be sitting at a table with these guys that were all from scattered around the neighborhood, and they fought each other. Their friends did. But at this lunch table, they would be civil, and they would be talking about how this weekend, man, we're coming up there. We're gonna, fuck you guys up. And I'd be sitting there at the lunch table, like, this is pretty wild, man.
They're breaking bread, but they're gonna go then fight on the weekend.
They're gonna fight on the weekend. I've seen it. They're like, they would be civil. Let's say. Was there a fight here and there that was carried over from something that happened over the weekend? Like, sure, but for the most part, like all these individuals would go to school and kind of like cohabit, like be around each other, like be civil around each other, and it's kind of weird if I think about it now, but back then it was normal.
So back then, did you have the ability to choose what school you wanted to go to for high school as well? Like now they can choose where they want to go.
So my parents wanted to send me to Mercy Tech.
Okay.
Right, which is they wanted me.
Henry Allegheny.
I have no idea why. I think so. Mm-hmm. Henry and Allegheny, which is odd because there used to be a psychiatric hospital called Epi that I was in a little bit. And I can maybe tell you a little bit about that later on, but because I get a lot of those like stories. But my parents, I don't know why they thought that I was destined to, perhaps learn a trade, right? Which is ironic because I have zero ability to fix anything, to build anything. In fact, I went to Mastbaum. I was in a woodshop class for 3 years, and I can't tell you shit about building fucking anything.
Same.
Right? So
took me an entire year to build a box.
Yeah, I was stoned, right? So I would go, true story. If I looked too bad, right? I was told, you could sit this one out, Ed. Sit in the classroom.
By the teacher?
Yeah. Yeah, he said, "What your allergies? It looks like your allergies are acting up, Ed." Because that's what I would say. I'd be like, "I got allergies." Like if they asked me why I look like I did, and they would say, "Guy, dude, this poor guy. If I could find him, Mr. Menkovich. If I could find Mr. Menkovich, right? That was the shop teacher at Mastbaum the last time I went there. I would apologize to that man for being an asshole, dude. I was an asshole."
See, and it's interesting because you as an individual now, you're anything but I would think but an asshole.
Right.
I think you are far from that.
Right.
But in addiction, it makes you just be somebody that you really aren't.
Even before.
You
right?
were? Like growing up as a kid?
So I grew up in an atmosphere where it was like everybody was just kind of like bullying each other, right? Whether physically or like words or emotionally. And it was just normal, right? So, I mean, I look at pictures of me as a teenager and I realize that like, you didn't smile in any of them. You were just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like a tough guy, right? And I was anything but, right? But
Tried to look hard.
You have to figure out how to survive in that environment. So I realized when I was young that one of the ways that you could survive in an atmosphere like that is to kind of act like you're agitated all the time, right? You're kind of like, whatever, like, you know what I mean? You have to give off like,
you're a dick.
Energy, like you're agitated, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened was what would make me a dick is I was addicted to making validation from people by making them laugh. Like I'm still kind of like that, right?
Yeah, you are.
So I would ride off that high, and sometimes there would be a victim in order for me, like, you know what I mean? And a lot of times it was teachers, there would be somebody that would be the brunt of like my whole fucking comedy act. Like,
you find somebody to prey on.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I learned that, like, I mean, I'm not trying to say that's trying to make an excuse for myself, but I learned that because they did it to me. Like I was a fat kid. I was, I didn't have the best hygiene as a kid. I didn't have the best clothes. My mother used to get my clothes from the thrift store on Kensington Ave, and I would have to go to school with that shit on. And my mom did her best, like not to,
Were you raised in a single parent house?
Partially, for a little while. So my mom was with my stepfather. My stepfather was a Philly cop. In like 1982, and him and my mom split up for a little bit, and I remember that period of time where we were poor in Kensington, right? Where it was just her and I, and
no brothers or sisters.
Not yet, not until I was 8.
Oh wow, okay.
So my brother and I are 8 years apart.
Okay,
right. So there is a period of time where it was just me and my mom, and those were rough times. One of the things, I'll give you an idea, one of the things that we used to do, even when my mom actually got back with my stepfather, was a couple times she would get me up in the middle of the night, true story, right? And she would go, "Come on, Ed, get up, we're going to the Red Boxes," right? So we would drive to the suburbs, like outside of Philly, and she would get me with a flashlight to climb into the Salvation Army donation boxes and hand shit out to her. And of course, the first thing I would do when I would go in there is like look for, fucking toys. Because there were toys in there.
Absolutely,
too.
yeah.
There were toys, there were clothes.
So she would put you into one of those Red Salvation Army.
I did it twice.
You went dumpster diving for the clothes.
Yeah.
So
I went into the South. I did it like twice. My mom did it herself. I don't know how she got the shit out, but having me climb in was a good move, right? Because
you're small enough.
I'm small enough. I get in. I think I got, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that I scored Michael Jackson Thriller on double record doing that. I believe so, right? I don't think there was any. Yeah, I believe that's where I got it. I know I had it, and I believe I got it from doing the Salvation Army dive, right? Michael Jackson Thriller, man.
That's crazy. Oh yeah,
it's a great album.
That's great. That was right around the time you were eight. Yeah.
Right. So that came out.
That was like 84.
82.
Was it 82?
82 or 84. One of them.
Hold on, I'll tell you.
Might have been 84. If it was
sophomore.
84, I was 9. No, or 8. Right.
Go ahead. I'll go ahead and talk. I'm going to look it up because I want to know this now.
Yeah. Believe it was 84. I want to say it was either 82 or 84.
All right.
What's it say?
I'm going to find out.
Dude, imagine me as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, whatever, sitting on my step in Kensington, right, with a long extension cord going into the house with a little record player, listening to fucking, if you're going to be starting something, you got to be starting something. Too high to get over, yeah. Too low to get under.
Were you singing with it too?
Ah, fuck
Did
yeah,
you dance?
I don't know if I ever danced.
It was 82.
It was 82.
It was 82. It's pretty good.
As a kid.
Yeah, it's pretty good. 82.
Yeah, 82, right?
82.
82.
82 is the year.
Right. So
you got something out of that. So you've had a life, man. You had this,
Yeah.
So
it was an adventure.
As it should be.
Right?
As it should be.
It was an adventure, man. Like I look back at it and I'm like, it's kind of, it's a character building venture. You know what I mean? Like you have to have some kind of hardship and deal with loss and pain and obstacles, right? And I mean, of course, at the time I didn't look at it from that perspective. I look at it like that now. But my father died when I was 14. Like that was tough, dude. Like probably the toughest thing. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I've lived under fucking I-95, right? I panhandled. I lived outside for a little bit.
Was that your spot when you were in shelter?
I lived under I-95 at the end.
Under
right?
95.
So, but the toughest thing I ever dealt with in my life was the death of my dad. I'm talking about, it was worse than like dealing with drug addiction.
How old were you?
14.
14 when he passed.
Yeah. So my dad was he was an interesting character. He was in and out of like Friends Hospital.
Yeah.
Right? My dad was in and out of Friends Hospital from the 70s up until the time he died in 90, right? He'd be occasionally a patient. And I want to tell you this, being somebody who was also a patient at Friends Hospital, and my son was too, so apparently it's like a lineage thing. But my father was in Friends. And dude, when I went to go visit my dad in Friends in like fucking 1986, 88, right? It was beautiful in there, dude.
Oh my gosh, compared to now?
Compared to now, it's a shithole. I mean, sorry.
Don't be
sorry.
sorry.
Friends, staff, but
no, don't be sorry.
It's
that place is a shithole.
Dude,
I get scared when I go in there. I take somebody there.
Dude, it used to be so fucking beautiful in there.
So not inviting.
Huh?
It's not inviting at all.
It's terrible. They had grounds, right? Like there were grounds like that you could go explore the grounds. And dude, my father, one of the things that he would do when I was a kid, he didn't have a lot of money. So we would do the zoo or Frankel Institute. But one of the things I would do with my dad as a kid was walk the grounds of the fucking psychiatric hospital that he was occasionally a patient at. But it was like an adventure because I'm from, a very urban environment, and we would go from that and then explore some woods, and I didn't know what to expect, and
because Friends is right there on that cusp.
My dad was a little off, you know what I mean? My dad believed that Bigfoot was real and shit like that, like just a fucking weird guy. And
I think Bigfoot might be real.
He might be real, dude. You want to know what my father used to say? I would say, well, Dad, how come nobody's ever like caught him? And he's like, well, dead serious. He would be like, well, he could travel interdimensionally.
Oh.
And I would say, well, what the fuck does that mean? Well, he could create a portal to another dimension and jump in it before anybody could really get a hold of him.
Like there's a prism in the woods.
Oh, he was
Like there's a little prism he jumps through in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, no, he just goes through the fucking portal, right? And my dad, I'm pretty sure my dad thought that was a real thing, which would make sense because he was occasionally a patient at the mental hospital whose grounds we were walking. Right?
Was it all mental health, or was there drugs involved with your dad as well?
He was an odd guy. He did drugs, but he was the type of drug user that if he was living somewhere and they were like, and they were like normal and they were like taking care, making sure he was okay. He needed to be supervised.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. As like a 30-some-year-old man, he needed to be supervised. Once the supervision was gone, like if he was left to have his own place, it was turned into a drug den.
Okay.
Because he gave in to, he was very much like a pushover, I think. Like when it came to like people like, hey, can we come over, Ed, and get high at your house? And he would say, yeah, come on over. And of course he would indulge while it was there. And that's the kind of drug user he was. And from what I understand, from what my mom told me, he used to be a heroin addict in the 70s. He was at one time. And my mom would literally say, she goes, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because I would be all dirty. Like I started doing heroin. I immediately transform into Pigpen from Charlie Brown, right? Like fucking immediately. Like there's like a dust fucking aura around
I never
me.
thought I had a shower when I was shooting
it was
up.
a waste of time.
When I was shooting up, I'm like, I don't need a shower. I'm fine.
Dude,
I get it.
I would rock the same underwear for a whole season, and like, fucking, I don't care, right? I don't care when I'm in that condition. And my mom would say, what the fuck is wrong with you? Your dad was a heroin addict, and he used to like blow dry his hair like in the 70s and put like a silk shirt on and all that shit. He probably had the fucking, the necklace with the spoon on it to do a little bump of coke here and there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's probably when the heroin was good shit too. We
Probably
weren't
great.
That was probably the pure shit that made you want to go out and enjoy yourself.
That was the
I
shit
don't know.
I mean,
because I think by the time I got to it, it was nowhere close to being pure.
No, Well, I will say this. So the 1990s in Kensington was, it was a very turbulent like time because the neighborhood started to make this metamorphosis into what it is now. Because when I tell people now, I'm like, I grew up in Kensington, they're like, oh my God. I'm like, no, it was way different, right? It was still rough. It was a different kind of bad. It was kind of like this kind of bad. Let me see your bike. I know your dad. And then fucking take off your bike. Shit. Right. It was that kind of bad, right? People would steal your shit. People would rob you, which is weird because we never called the cops. I never really...
What's it going to do?
I never thought to call the cops, though. Like, it was never an option, right? We just never did. I don't know why, right? I have no idea. I just wasn't raised.
Did the cops respond in Kensington back then, or better than they do now?
Yeah, they would. They we had a couple cops that would fuck with us if we hung on the corner.
Where in Kensington did you grow up?
Ruth and Monmouth.
Oh, that's right by the Garden, basically, right by Prevention Point.
Right by Prevention.
Right behind Prevention Point.
Which is weird because what is now Prevention Point used to be Simpson Memorial Church.
Right.
And I went to Cub Scouts there for like fucking a month maybe before
in the basement where the kitchen is. We
went to Cub Scouts. They took us bowling. They took us bowling for Cub Scouts because what the fuck? We're in Kensington. Where are we going to go? The fucking railroad tracks?
Hissy Playground?
So we went bowling at Erie Lanes, and I owed them $7 for bowling, and my mom was like, yeah, you're not going there anymore. That's it. That was the end of Cub Scouts.
Because it's $7.
Like, they want $7? She said, fuck that.
You're not going back.
You're not going back there. So, yeah. So Prevention Point used to be like Simpson Memorial Church. So the neighbor was completely different. I was saying I watched it go through this like metamorphosis, and for a lot of the country, right, the segue to heroin addiction for a lot of people were pain pills, right? OxyContin, Purdue Pharma, like, you know what I mean? I've seen a whole different, like, it was different where I grew up, right? When I was young, so the drugs weren't sold near my house. They were on the other side of the Kensington Avenue.
They were in the Badlands.
Right.
People don't understand that, like, the Badlands was that, like, D and Indy and inward towards Hissy and Hope Park.
Right. Over by the Blue Bridge.
Hope Park.
They would say the Blue Bridge.
The Blue Bridge.
Right.
Which is in the middle of nothing. Tusculum and Gurney.
Right. So we, as kids, didn't go, like, if you were a kid, unless you were like tough. I wasn't tough. Right, there were kids that
the Blue Bridge over the Gurney Street tracks you're talking
over
about,
there, right?
Yeah, okay.
So those that around that, like surrounding that, was where you bought drugs. Like
really,
like you had, and in the late '80s, I watched crack start to make its way into, like my sphere, so to speak. Not sold, but people like that doing it. So
and that was a different demographic, was it not?
Yeah.
It was not the same type of demographic of individual that when the heroin epidemic started coming around.
No, it was there were kids that were in my neighborhood like that were starting to smoke crack. And I remember when I was 12 years old, right? I play Nintendo, right? I'm a fat kid, fat dork, plays Nintendo. And this kid came up to me and he goes, "Yo, man, you play Nintendo?" And I said, I do in fact play Nintendo. He said, I have a connection, right, at Kitty City. I don't know if you remember Kitty City.
Oh yeah,
the toy store. So he
Kangaroo, Lionel Kitty City.
Right,
yeah.
Lionel Kitty City. Yeah. So he said, I want you to go home, right, grab as bunch of your Nintendo games, right, and I want you to make a list of what you want me to trade those games for. And anybody that listened to this saying, you should have known better, fuck you, I was 12, right? I was fucking 12, right? So I grabbed a group of games. Now, I didn't play that much, right? But I made a list of the games that I thought he was going to trade them for, and he jumped in a motherfucking car, and I didn't see him for like a decade, right? And that was the first time in my life I had ever encountered a crackhead, and I was, that I had been duped. I got swindled by a crackhead.
Right
now,
in your own home.
The education of some of these things, like the education that some of these experiences provided, right, made it so that by the time I was like 17, 18, like, you know what I mean? I was just like, I wasn't having any of that shit. Like somebody was like, "Yo, come here." I'd be like, first of all, you don't know, I don't know you, you don't know me, and I don't fucking want anything you have. How about that? Like, you know what I mean? But it makes you like that.
A little tough,
right?
a little hardened.
A little hardened.
And
right?
so you grew up, in Kensington to begin with, which is a neighborhood that's so different than the rest of Philly neighborhoods, right?
Right.
So you become hardened to begin with.
You become a little hardened,
yes.
Right? I remember going to visit a family member in Jim Thorpe.
Yeah, yeah.
And I met all the kids in the fucking little area around my great aunt. All of them by the end of the day. Like they were all my friends, right? Which is not a thing in Kensington. And not for me anyway. And I remember realizing that none of these kids had ever been punched in the face before. I said, "Are you serious? You've never been?" They're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You just get punched in the face for a number of things. Being in the wrong place, like, because a group of people just feels like beating on somebody, so they pick you. You know what I mean? Like, that was what happened where I grew up. And I watched, like I was saying, this whole, with the drug thing, I remember I would hear, you had caps. We got caps. That was crack, right? Mm-hmm. And then that kind of like, became Ready Rock. We got Ready Rock, right? And that was the crack and like rocked up in a bag. Mm-hmm. And then I remember them going, "We got dope out. And I asked somebody, because I had friends that were, drug dealers or whatever, or had sold drugs. Nobody like it was anything big, just regular corner guys. And I said, "Dope, what's that?" And they were like, "It's heroin." And I was like, "They sell heroin on a street corner now?" And that happened about 92. 92 for me, that I remember, like 1992. And so what I found out was that somebody decided that, like, if they, because heroin, you could not buy heroin on a street corner in like 1988, right? You had to like know somebody, from what I understand, right? And I guess they decided that if they upped the potency of heroin, they could target the snorter market, right? So, and it worked. It worked. They put this heroin on the street, and I remember the newspapers in like the 90s were like, it's like 97% pure, and it was so that they could hook people, because nobody was using a needle like that. A needle became taboo, like really taboo. And, 92, 93, 94, you got all these kids in my neighborhood that start doing heroin and snorting heroin. It's really potent. And then, eventually, for a lot of us, me included, you transitioned to shooting it. And when I transitioned to shooting it, like we could go on Kensington Ave right now and get a needle for 50 cents or a quarter. We could find somebody. Hey, I need works. There's a plethora of people selling works.
Not what I was using.
Right? I had to go on a mission.
I spent like $5 to just get 2 or 3 sometimes.
Dude, right.
Ridiculous.
So you know what I'm talking about. So for $2 I had to spend to buy a set of works, and they were like in a couple designated places, right? That I don't want to give, like, one was a fat Hispanic guy sitting on a beach chair, and he was always in the same spot, and maybe he had diabetes, right? It wouldn't have been surprising, right? And to look at him, and he sold the needles. He sold them for $2 a piece, and that was one spot, that I would go to. And sometimes the quest to find a needle was like, because once you make the transition to shooting up, you don't go back, right? You don't fucking go back.
Sniffer doesn't do it.
No. So there were some times that I would be walking around for like 2 hours with dope, and I would be withdrawing, and I'd be like, I need a fucking needle before I do it. Like,
where the fucking works at this point?
Right. And I would eventually find a set, but it would be more of a quest.
Yeah.
Than it is now. It's a little bit of.
Well, I always said that we spent more time, on the hunt than we did on the using of it.
Right.
And you ended up being then homeless. You were unsheltered at one point. How'd that happen? How'd that spiral to that point?
Well, my experience with drug use is when you're in your 20s and even maybe in your early 30s, maybe, right? People feel sorry for you, right? They do, especially when you're in your 20s. Hey, man,
you have your whole life ahead of you.
Can I just crash on your fucking floor for a little bit, man? And I did a lot of that. I did a lot of let me crash, and I'm wind up there for like 9 months, right? At your place. And the older you get, and then I had kids.
How many kids you have?
I have 2.
2? You
right?
have a boy?
I have a boy
and a girl.
Okay. Right? So they are 27 and 30 now.
Who's the oldest?
My daughter. And I have 4 grandkids with my daughter.
Right? Is your son Eddie as well?
He's Eddie.
Is he the third?
They fucked up his Social Security card. They put the second on there, but he should be the third.
Because your dad would be the senior. You're
my
the junior.
dad's senior. I'm junior. He should have been the third, but they put the second.
Second?
I don't know. So we just never changed.
Okay. And your daughter's name?
Carrie.
Right.
So they were very young, seeing me in, like, you know what I mean, like and I was a attentive dad that when I was doing well until I wasn't doing well.
Right.
So we would do things. I kind of tried to mirror what my father showed me as a kid, and that is, hey, let's spend our time together and go do something fun. And I'm glad that I at least was able to impart that on them, as well as, my taste in music and movies and stuff like that. Like, my kids.
What is your taste in music?
So I like a lot of 90s hip hop. I like a lot of, old school punk.
So you're like a Naughty by Nature sort
I like
dude?
that. Right, I love Tretch, all that.
Okay.
Right, it's Naughty by Nature. Cypress Hill, love Cypress Hill. But I also like metal. I like a lot of metal.
Okay.
I like a lot of stuff, man. Like I just started going to concerts probably like 6 years ago. I've been to 2 Wu-Tang concerts. I love Wu-Tang, right? I've seen Metallica. I've seen Slayer. I've seen Yo-Yo Ma play with the Philly Orchestra.
Oh, that must have been incredible.
Right?
Wait, and this is, you just started going to them how long ago?
Probably 6 years ago.
Was it your first concert, or like that you started to really get into them?
Well, I've never really been a fan, oddly enough, of large crowds of people.
I get it.
This never was like, it never really felt like my scene, but I like live music. And to experience some of the people that I've loved my whole life and to see them, like to actually see them, not through like a screen or anything like that, but to see those people, like it was an experience. It was an experience.
So you're tasting music and you're tasting comedy.
Comedy.
You like comedy?
Yeah, dude. So when I was, probably, which is weird because my parents would let me. My parents didn't give a fuck like what I watched. Right? I could watch Scarface. I think it didn't matter. Right? My whole life. Right? Yeah. However, I remember they knew that Eddie Murphy, Delirious would be probably too much for me. Right? So they said, you got to go to bed.
Was that the cop car where you're sitting in the cop? Woo?
No, it's his comedy special.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The Delirious comedy special.
Yeah. That might
Ice
have
Cream?
been,
was that the Ice Cream one?
That was the Ice, I believe it was.
Or is that Raw?
There was Raw.
Yes.
I don't remember which. I know
they're both hysterical.
Delirious came out first, right? And that was maybe 82. And my parents were like, you got to go to bed. Like, you can't. But it's a fucking comedy special. I can hear it. So I remember laying on the floor in the hallway upstairs, like listening, because what made me want to was like, why are you making me go to bed? Like, this has got to be something really juicy, right? So I remember laying in the hallway and listening to Delirious, and I was like, that is the fucking greatest shit I ever heard in my life.
Are you still an Eddie Murphy fan?
Yeah.
Are you an Andrew Dice Clay fan?
Yeah. I like Andrew Dice Clay. I see him do like a I liked his comedy special. The whole fucking neighborhood I lived in, right? Which we weren't Italian, and he's not Italian either. He's Jewish, but he's fucking
very Jewish.
He's very Jewish,
yes.
right? But he's fucking funny, and he does the whole
shtick.
Bronx or Brooklyn stick really good, right? And he's great, dude. And so, but there was a period where his tape went around the whole neighborhood, and we were all kind of trying to talk, hey, like, you know what I mean? Hey, it's soul, like, you know what I mean? Like, we were trying to emulate.
Repeating dirty nursery rhymes.
Oh, the fucking rhymes were so good, especially when you're a kid. But I see him now on TikTok, and he's still funny. Mm-hmm. Like, he walks around outside fucking with people, which is right up my alley. Like, a lot of my youth was centered around either fucking with people or laughing at somebody fucking with somebody. Like in public. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it was. I didn't realize even that people were nice to each other until I started visiting other places. Like, I just thought everybody was just mean all the time.
So you went to Jim Thorpe and you realized, wow, these kids are nice.
Kids are nice. And then I say this also, that when I talk about this sort of thing, that I lived in Myrtle Beach when I was like 21.
Okay.
Right? And I was living in a fucking trailer park in Myrtle Beach. It was paradise to me. And everybody was like, you're living in a seedy, and I'm like, seedy? There's fucking palm trees outside, right? Like it's beautiful here. This is paradise to me, right? Fuck it. But I would be driving back down the road that led to the trailer park that my kid's mother and I were staying in, and people were waving while I was driving by, and I was looking at them like, I don't fucking know who you are. What are you trying to be sarcastic? And then I realized it took me a couple of weeks before I was like, hey, like wave back, because I was safe. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, you just didn't. Like,
you're not in Kensington anymore,
right? You didn't kind of invite that. Like I said, you're the idea was to act like you were kind of agitated all the time, and then there was a way you had to carry yourself. Like, you couldn't look down because then that looked like, you look like a victim, but you couldn't stare either. Right? Because now it's like, what's up? What do you want to do? See, you had to kind of like keep your head up and like glance. You had to do glances. Let people know that, look, I'm looking, but I'm not staring, but I'm also not looking at the ground, right? So people wouldn't try it. And I had to learn all this shit, dude. Like before I was like, 13.
It's a lot for a kid,
right?
It's a lot.
Right.
So at 39 is when you were or 38, 39, 38 when you decided. I mean, people say, what was that aha moment? And for me, I can't say there was one because it was a series of events.
God.
Jail, everything. What was that final? What was the final straw where you're like, fuck this? I want to find out what life is like.
So I am a strong proponent for myself of the 12 steps. Right?
Okay, you are a big book guy.
I'm a huge 12-step guy.
Yes, 12-step guy.
And
do they not like being called big books?
Huh?
Big booker?
No, I don't care. No, I don't care. I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that. It's better than junkie, thief.
Absolutely.
I mean?
Call me a big booker. Oh, ouch.
Give me a big book guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot better than the guy that tried to fucking steal my catalytic converter.
I'd rather have you try to 12-step me to death than give me drugs to kill me. So, Right.
But I don't do that. I don't soapbox anybody.
Okay.
I offer those, this is if somebody asks me, if somebody's like, hey man, like, could you help me like in that way? But I don't get on people's shit. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody does. I know people that like are like, hey man, like I don't go to AA anymore, but I smoke weed, and I'm like, okay, if you could pull that off, that's cool. I don't care. I know people that are like used to be hard into drugs, and now they drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, whatever.
As long as it's not killing you, you're not hurting people.
Here's the thing. I made all those experiments between 19 and 38. I told you I had,
3 years here.
I had 3 years here, 2 years here, but I didn't go out and do heroin right away, right? All of those fucking times, the beginning of the ride was when I was like, you know what? Maybe I could just like smoke pot and sit and fucking hang at my house. Or maybe I could go get a case of fucking Yingling and watch TV.
You're not that guy, are you?
Not that guy.
You're an all or nothing.
So what happens is, dude, it just does something to me, right? So you ask like what, so the 12-step thing, right? There's a whole like, admitted we were powerless, right? What I believe that to mean for me, right? And what I believe the AA book describes, right? Is that I have an issue with my thought process, right? Where unless I have some kind of spiritual connection, and that could look like whatever to somebody, right?
I love that you said spiritual connection. Right. So important.
If I don't have some kind of spiritual connection, my mind goes into a delusional place. It's not a lie. People in AA are like, well, you got to push that lie away with the truth. It's not a fucking lie. It's a delusion. Those things are different, right? And
because what happens with a delusion is you actually believe it yourself. The lie is a lie.
Yeah, a lie is like...
The delusion, you believe it yourself.
A lie is like, I don't know where your wallet is,
and it's in your back pocket.
But I got it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yes.
That's a lie. I know what I'm doing. Right?
Yes. The delusion is you believe it yourself.
A delusion is, this is going to be different.
Absolutely.
Right? This is going to be different, Eddie.
I'm really glad you said that.
And I've been in sales my whole life.
You do that now, right?
Yeah,
sort of,
right. Yes. Right.
Title sales?
No, I am a public insurance adjuster, but I do the sales end of it. Right.
I can picture that. You have the personality for sales, brother.
Right. So dude, I don't have the body for physical labor. You know what I mean? Never have. Right. I did fucking waterproofing when I was 18 for like a week, and I was like, I need to figure out a way that if I ever enter the work field, right, that this is not what I do. Right. Nothing like this. And I'm not shitting on that. I know a lot of people that like, a lot of people got out of the neighborhood by roofing. You know what I mean?
Tons of them.
A lot of them.
Yes.
A lot of roofers, and they fucking love it. A lot of them do.
They're good at it.
I wish I was dead when I want to. If I roof or fucking carry buckets of rocks or haul fucking rolls of like I go, please, Lord, will you shoot me with fucking lightning and sizzle me? I'll take it, right? I don't want to do it. So I figured I needed to be in some kind of sales my whole life, or I found that out later on that was my niche. But I would sell myself, dude, on why it would be a good idea to do it again. And then once I sold myself, I would be like, that makes sense. And I would be like, no shit, it makes sense. Trust me. You know what I mean? And my mind would go in that direction where I would yearn for something to give me some kind of like jolt, right? Mm-hmm. And when I lost my father, right, I felt like there was nothing to look forward to most times, right? Mm-hmm. Until I discovered drugs. Mm. And then I was like, dude, this is like the preparation. Like when I was 10, I went to Disney World, right? And the preparation, like the lead up to Disney World might have been just as fun, right? Like, yeah, we're going to Disney World. Dude, every time I came up on some money and I was on my way to cop, it was like we were going to Disney World again. Mm-hmm. It was that kind of, you know, it was an explosion of just like euphoria, right? Before I did it, so what happened was drugs gave me something to look forward to again, and it was so. And then when you remove that, what are you going to fucking tell me I need to replace it with? Meetings? Fuck off. You know what I mean?
But like, you did then.
I did, but I think that the sufficient replacement for me was a spiritual connection.
There you go.
And the seeking.
Do you still have that spiritual connection?
Yeah.
Just as strong, if not stronger?
Well, yeah. So I realized
you never really lost it then.
No. Okay. No. Well, I that's the thing. The other periods of my life, I started to go in that direction, and then like you know, whatever. Like I would. I think that whatever you think of the most in your life, that's what you worship, right? If it's a politician, that's your God, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a fucking relationship, that's your God. Mm-hmm. If it's a job, your job is your God, right? And I realized at the age of 38 that God needed to be my God and not a possession, right? If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, good way to break it down.
So I made that like, dude. A lot of things happened within a 2-week period that I was in jail. I've only been in jail twice in my life for 2 weeks, right? And the last time I was in jail, I detoxed in there, and I was awake, right? You know how that's like. I was awake pretty much the whole fucking time, and I saw my life as a merry-go-round, right? I keep doing this and I'm not doing it, and I do this and I'm not doing it. And then I thought to myself, you're going to die like this, dude. And I remember thinking, I'd rather just do it now and get it over with. I'd rather just kill myself now and not do this anymore. But what I realized in that moment was powerlessness, right? Mm-hmm. Powerlessness isn't, there's a lot of people, and think what you want. I don't really fucking care. I don't push my shit on nobody. If you don't want to, if somebody disagrees with me, that's cool. I don't give a shit, right? People can do whatever they want to do, right? But my idea of powerlessness, that I disagree with a lot of people. People will say, well, I got to remember I'm powerless. When I start, I can't stop. No, that's not powerlessness to me. Powerlessness is when I'm sober and my mind convinces me while I'm sober to pick up. Although every time I picked up prior to that, my life burned to the ground, right?
Burn it down.
And powerlessness is realizing that my mind is going to do that to me again, and I don't know when, and there's nothing I can do about it. And when I realized that, it was so devastating that it made me suicidal, because I realized that what I was walking around with was a faulty piece of machinery that was going to malfunction at some point. I just don't know when, because it's been doing that my whole life. And once I realized that, I was like, well, how the fuck do I escape my own head? And I was like, maybe if I kill myself. And what that did was it put me in this state of like, if somebody would have came to me at that point and said, bro, in order for your brain not to do that again, you have to, whatever, convert to Judaism. I would have said, okay, I'll do it. Whatever it was.
You're all in.
I don't care what it is. But what happened while I was in that state of, desperation, I looked at my life and I looked at the way I thought about things, right? People, God, all that. And I said to myself, maybe everything you've thought about everything your whole life has been wrong. And I was like, I don't know, dude. Like I had this like sigh of relief, and I was like, maybe, right? Maybe this God thing, right? Whatever that looks like for anybody, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe this God thing is where it's at, is where it's all at, right? It's all there.
Oh, the foul. Sorry.
That's fine. Maybe that's where it's at. And I said a prayer. I say, God, enter my heart, make me a different person, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. And it began the journey of my, my continual evolution. I think that we should be people that continuously change, right? I think that I ran into somebody at the gym, and they were telling me that about how they were pissed off because they were Catholic their whole life, and now they don't believe that anymore, and now they're into like certain mysticism things, and I'm like, that's great. And they were like, I feel like whatever. I was like, listen, it's okay to continuously evolve. Even if you evolve from mysticism to Catholicism, it's okay to continuously evolve. We should be people who are always like, how could I seek more? How could I get better, right? Where in my character is what needs to improve? Like, I think that we should always be like that.
I think we should always be evolving.
Always.
I don't think the minute we stop is when it's over.
It's over. So it's over for me in the respect that if that quest comes to an end, I believe once again, my thought process will malfunction, and it'll convince me that it's a good idea to perhaps drink a beer, right? Because what happens is, with the absence of that quest, because my life is exciting, right?
I want to take a few seconds to talk about your exciting life, because
right,
you changed one addiction for another, because you have this addiction to cats, bro. What is up with that? Well, first of all, your wife Courtney,
so
amazing.
There we go.
Your wife Courtney, we gotta shout out to Courtney because she's amazing.
Dude, she's great. She's a social worker. She's going to have her master's in May.
We're gonna have her on the show, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. No, she'd be a good guest. She's got an interesting background as well. She's not from the same neighborhood, but she ended up there,
like we all did.
Right. So she, one of the things that happened to my spirit, dude, is that like I have become overwhelmingly in love with animals now. And dude, I'm not going to say that like I hated animals. I was just kind of indifferent.
How many cats you have, Eddie?
There's 11 in my house right now.
There's 11 in your house right now.
So 2 of them are kittens that are up for adoption, but there are 11 felines in my home. And I'm going to say 9 of them are our cats. 9 of them are ours. So how does one have 9 cats? I'll explain how that happens. My wife had one when I met her. She had a cat, 1 cat. We still have him, Carl, right? Mm-hmm. And like she's like, oh, this is Carl. And like, dude, Carl and I didn't even like each other really at first. He fucking scratched my face one time, right? But him and I got to be close, right? I love Carl, right? So I was renting a house in South Philly, and this cat kept jumping on the wall outside the alley and when you would make eye contact with the cat, it would go, ah, ah, right? Like, can I come in, right?
Who
my
let
wife let her in. Like, she wasn't my
Courtney
wife.
did.
She fucking let the cat in. she texts me, picture of the cat on my couch, eating food.
That was cat number 2 at that point then.
So we had 2. She moved in with her cat eventually. Then we had 2 cats, right? The third just passed away recently, but these cats started showing up at our house.
They knew where to come. The cat,
We're like the
what do they call that?
Moses of cats, dude. Right?
The cat selection system. They found you, man. You're the cat daddy.
We're marks, bro.
You're cat daddy, bro.
They must be out there like, look, I know where to go. So then
they're home. Act like you need help. They're home.
So we fucking brought in a bunch. We've rehomed a lot, right?
Yes, you
we
do.
have successful rehomes, but then we got attached to a couple and just kept them. Or maybe they would have some kind of ailment that we didn't want to burden anybody else with. We got one motherfucker. She has seizures, so we can't be like, here's a cat. Cat has seizures, so we got to fucking take care of her. We got to give her a pill a couple times a day. You know what I mean? We think she's brain damaged from the seizures because she's like real doofy. Like, you know what I mean? We're like, dude, that cat has like that cat's mentally handicapped. Like, has to be, right? Dude, and it's crazy because they all have personalities. Like, they're all different, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can tell. And I have this theory that maybe they were other people in other lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we even make up who they look like. We're fucking out there, dude.
Oh my
We're out there.
That's hysterical.
We did a lot of drugs. So
I love it.
So we now have a bunch of cats. And I could say this, and I ask everybody, dude, does my house stink? Right? And everybody's like, no, it's surprising that
I wouldn't have expected the 2 of you for it to stink. I would have expected you guys to have it.
We fix them all so they don't spray.
Yep.
There's 10 litter boxes in the house.
Oh my God. I can't stand cleaning 2.
Dude, 10.
10.
Fucking,
You do this daily?
Bro, I do it daily.
You need to have your head checked again.
It's me. It's me who does it daily. It's my chore. It's my chore.
You had a hell of a life, man. You grew up in one of the roughest zip codes on the East Coast. You survived almost a 20-year drug addiction of some of the most hardcore drugs. You were unsheltered. You turned your life around. You married a phenomenal woman. You go to the gym, so you're getting in that shape. So that way,
Can't tell right now.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Send us more selfies. We'll see them.
I'm off. I'm trying to get back on the workout beam, so to speak. You know what I mean? I went for a run today.
The weather's nice. It'll start to happen again.
I went for a run earlier today, but like, you know, I'm trying. Dude, I joke about this. When I was younger, I was motivated to go to the gym because of vanity. Now I don't want to die. Now I'm just like, I don't want to die. I have diabetes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all this health
different reasons
issues.
for it.
I'm like, dude, I like want to live a little longer. I like all my limbs. I don't want to go blind. Right. So I'm trying to
different motivation.
Right. Yeah.
So with all that you know now, I mean, we've gained so much knowledge when we're in recovery. When we go sober and our brains are start to functioning and the synapses are actually connecting and stuff. If you had the ability to go back to that 8-year-old Eddie that was there and
first of all,
what would you tell him, man?
First of all, I would tell him just punch somebody in the throat. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're
probably.
Not. You would probably say,
like, I probably, like, getting older, you know what I realized when I got older, right? All these fucking tough guys that I grew up with, right? If you took 20 of them, right, 17 of them really didn't want to fight.
No.
Right?
They just had each other's backs.
No, the other 3 were trying to fight all the time, right? But what I'm trying to say is the majority of people I've met in my life that acted like bullies or whatever, all you had to do was be like, what do you mean what? Just what the fuck I said, that's what. And then they're like, look, man. But there were a handful of, that would. But what I would have probably gave myself some insight on how to carry myself.
Okay.
Right? I would have gave myself some insight on how to carry myself. And I also would have gave myself a little bit more encouragement in terms of staying in school, you know what I mean, and fucking getting an education. Now does that say I would have not become a drug addict anyway? I may have, right?
But it's the stuff you know now that you can go back.
But I wish I had an actual education because, you know, academically, I got a GED in 1995 at Eagleville Hospital, which is a rehab, which I'm not, and I went to community college for like a couple semesters. But I would have kind of like, and like, dude, like, honestly, I would have hugged that kid and tell him, dude, you're going to be all right, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Because,
love it.
You know,
I would hug him and tell him you're going to be all right.
I would have hugged him and told him he was going to be all right.
Is he all right today?
Yeah.
That kid?
Yeah, he's good.
So then
he
that advice.
He doesn't really want to punch anybody in the throat either. Like, by the way.
You might want to, but it's okay.
I take a kung fu class, but I don't. I think that the kids there could beat me up. Pretty sure.
Eddie, you have such stories. I wish, we could pack more into an hour. Like, so much to unpack. Our lives are so much to unpack. You sponsor a lot of people when they come into the rooms. Right. You are a great sponsor from what I hear. I mean, I hear the praises. How many people you sponsor nowadays?
A handful.
So
with the way that works is like I take a guy through the 12 steps, and then it's their job now to take people through the 12 steps.
You guide them then.
You go be somebody else's guy. I'm a firm believer in and listen, I always need help, right? Was trying to connect with a friend of mine that lives around here who's going to help me with like nutrition stuff, for example. Mm-hmm. I'm always willing to go, you know what? In this area of my life, I'm going to need a hand, right? Gym, I need help, right? But something happens, something magically happens when you go from the person who needs help all the time to the guy who's helping. Something happens, man.
Transformation.
Dude, the whole dynamic of the universe changes once that happens.
It conspires with you.
Right.
It really does for the first time.
Right.
So you're Eddie Dunn out there on social media. People can find you. You can help guide them if they want. You could be that voice for them.
I did a TED Talk. I think you can look at me now.
You did?
I did a TED Talk. Did you know
when?
that?
No, I didn't. Quick, tell me. Give me.
Dude, we could fucking
20 seconds on that real quick. Tell me where to find that.
So you could look it up. It's TEDx. I did it with my friend Willie Baronet. It just looked like TEDx, Willie Baronet, Ed Dunn. TEDx, it's just us, right? So when I was panhandling, I've never even mentioned this. I met a friend who was doing a documentary where he was going through the country and buying homeless people's signs, and he bought my sign, and he interviewed me. And then when I got sober, I reached out to him. I'm in this documentary. It's called "We're All Homeless," right? Signs of Humanity. We're all homeless. And then him and I connected, and we spoke on a bunch of panels together. I go talk to kids at Jefferson, which is fucking weird because like I'm like a fuck up my whole life, and now I'm talking to pre-med students like about what to expect when they're dealing with the addicted homeless community, right? So I do that, but I did this TEDx talk when I had 2 years sober. I did it in like 2016, so it's been like 10 years since I did it. But yeah, that was a cool experience.
So we can find that out there. TED Talk Ed Dunn. When you look it up.
TEDx. It's just us.
It's just us.
TEDx, and then it's just us. And I'm on there. Check that out.
And this is why when I introduced you, I said you're a pillar of the community because you have turned it around.
Yeah.
You have given people hope that if you could come from where you came from to what you've experienced, to what you've lost, to what you've gained, it's possible, man.
It's possible.
It's possible. Man. And I want to invite you back for a part 2 on this.
Yeah.
Maybe come back with Courtney sometime, but you come back by yourself and share some more because, like I said, we can never unpack enough in an hour.
Right.
But I appreciate you.
And I don't shut the fuck up. So I guess it's good for a podcast.
It's good for general because
it's annoying
think
for
about
my wife.
it.
It's annoying for my wife, right?
Because this tunes you out, though.
She's great. Oh, yeah.
Tunes you the hell right out.
She's a saint, dude. She's like
worker.
knitting. She like fucking knits, right? She's like knitting, and I'm like rapping in her face. You know what I mean? Like she's just completely shuts me out.
She doesn't take that niggle.
Which is what you got to do. You have to shut me out.
Well, I'm going to do that right now because we're going to close this out, brother. I'm going to shut you up.
Shut me out.
But I love you, man. You are one of the few people that I can actually say that I can turn to and I can go to if I wanted to. And the respect I have for you is
likewise,
immense.
dude. I love what you do for the community.
Thank you.
And I'm involved in like a podcast that I'm doing as well, and we want you.
I'll be there.
We want you.
I'll be there.
All right. My man.
Give me 24 hours notice or more.
All right. No doubt. Absolutely.
But
all right.
everybody, this is Eddie Dunn. He joined me today. It was an amazing conversation. I can't wait for him to come back because the tangents are just incredible and there's just so much more to unpack. So Eddie, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everybody else out there, whatever it is you stand for, be a voice. This is Brick Carpenter on Usla Media. Have a great rest of your day.